Peasant Productions presents the math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. With kind of the paradigm shift idea here, a paradigm shift is an entirely different way of thinking and looking at stuff, okay? I know you can all run around and go find your favorite descriptions of paradigm and it'll all be all over the place, but the reality of it is anybody that starts talking about a paradigm shift, they generally are pointing at the extreme materialism of the planet and the fact that you need to become more spiritual in order to do anything to save your butts. And that's exactly what I am, you know. So I'm the representative from the spiritual realm of an absolute guaranteed spiritual connection, okay? Revelations 2:17, you only get it from the God. The God is the only one that can remove it, so I can't take it off of me. No pope's going to deny it with any authority. I have had plenty of Christians and Catholics jump up and down in my face telling me that they're greater than their gods and therefore their God doesn't have permission from them to give me any kind of mark that says I'm greater than them. Yeah, the same sort of thing goes on with your scientists, okay? Like I explained, if the scientists can describe a wall or a end or an edge of the universe, then something is outside of the universe. Because that scientist has no ability to pierce the wall and look out there, because the scientist has no tools to comprehend or register or measure or anything like that what is outside the universe, it's extremely illogical to sit there and scream that there's nothing in existence except what we humans can see. Okay? It's very simple. Okay? If you go sit in a room, close all the windows, close all the doors, you can leave the lights on. I'm not telling you to go sit in the dark. I'm saying just go into a room where you have no way to see what's outside and then try and claim that there's no clouds in the sky. Try and claim that the sky is not blue when, you know, it's sunset and actually the sky is a little bit more towards, you know, the purpley colors and stuff like that. Or the golden hour, as we photographers, you know, call it, or the twilight hours and things like that, where the skies are definitely something other than just, you know, your everyday sky blue type of a thing. So you see the problem you have is you tend to measure without being able to know what's outside of your measurement circle. And then because humans like to control, of course you have the, you know, Christian and Catholics running around screaming that no other gods can exist but theirs. The Muslims do it, the Jews do it, the Christians do it, the Catholics do it. Gee, kind of interesting, isn't it? All four of those were created by the Romans 380 to 600 AD, and they all went out and they conquered the world, which, like I say, you know, you pick this thing up, somewhere in there is the Ten Commandments. It's in the Old Testament, which means that it originated with the Jews, with the theory that, you know, that Moses went up and talked to God, and God gave him a tablet of 10 laws, and then Moses went down and smacked it over his knee and broke it to pieces because the God was stupid to give people the rules, right? On the other hand, if you're somebody like me who has this Revelations 2:17 that says you hear absolutely everything on the spiritual realm, and most humans are way too stupid and way too unenlightened and unspiritual and unwilling to even look at the idea to realize that their thoughts originate in the spiritual realm. Your thoughts do not originate in a physical object, they originate in a spiritual object. That's why people can read thoughts. That's why people can transmit thoughts. Obviously, I'm responsive to people's thoughts without even having to worry about it. I mean, most people, you know, comment on stuff on the internet, and I'm replying back fairly quickly if I'm, you know, somewhere near my computer, because I simply, oh, somebody's talking about me again. All right, no problem. Hit that, hit this, do this, whatever. Okay. So to think that you're going to sneak up on me without me knowing it is pretty low, okay? To think that you're going to serve me poisonous food is pretty low, because when you hand that plate of food in front of me, I'm going to see the aura of black energy around it and know that, no, I'm not eating that, send it away. Okay? And this is very typical of somebody that is extremely connected. And in order for you to understand, I'm not the first person to say this. I'm not the last person that's going to say it. Nikola Tesla, the last person you had on your planet that was an extremely intelligent person who dealt with many, many areas. Okay? I don't care if one person has studied and studied and studied one thing for 50 or 60 years and they know it really deep. That's fine. That's all memorization. That's not intelligence. That's not using the brain up here to think of new things and think of how things should be and all of that. Tesla did that. Tesla could pick up stuff and just start working with it. The same with me. The same with Da Vinci. That's why Da Vinci was designing a helicopter in the 1400s. That's why he designed the glider. He didn't have a gas engine, but I believe there was some theoreticals he didn't design a gas engine, but there's other possibilities and other things that he worked with that show that if he had ever had anything of a combustion engine around him, he would have probably figured something out with it. Is that you have scientists, you have religious people, you have governments, you have the elite rich, and these people are all in control, and the way they control, like I was pointing out, is by keeping secrets and telling you, oh, shh, don't talk about that, okay? If the Pope or the Catholic Church or the Christian Church or any other church on this planet had any spiritual connection, they would literally be contacting me for help, for information, for clarification, for just the whims of sitting down with a cup of coffee with me to see what I have to say to them or what I think of their thing. Instead, they all run away because they don't have any spiritual connection. Like I said, even Buddhism, which, kind of denies it, but, how can you have demons and hell, but you can't have a God or a heaven? Heaven for a Buddhist is to go sit in a room and ohm out. Basically you are doing what a drug addict does. You go do some drugs and kick back and just dream. Fine, I'm dreaming about ohming. That's a Buddhist, okay? The Buddhist person that goes and uses the lessons of the Buddhists and the teachings of Buddha himself, who did not sit in a cave and hide away. He walked out and he taught. He did something. There's a big difference, okay? He didn't go around saying, give me money, because I'm so great, okay? He walked around and he just started helping people. He walked away from money even because he happened to have been a rather prince of a kingdom. Yeah, he walked away from being rich and famous to go be enlightened. So stop and think about the fact that, the Dalai Lama runs around trying to collect money, but he's never done anything to help forward the idea of freeing Tibet. He just simply wants to collect money for it and be basically be a superstar, be a movie star. He's running around in fine clothes and he's so sweet and he's so nice and he says such sweet things. And meanwhile, what? 200, 300, 400 people a day are murdered, killed, tortured. China, Tibet. Yeah. So, that's why I say there's a big difference between what you can be and what you are. And when you start working with a totally different thing, then yes, you are part of a paradigm shift. So when you stop and you realize the reality of this, and you realize that it's only by confronting the physical material wealth industry that you can do anything about this. You don't even have to go spiritual. You just have to realize that, hey, these guys are doing this for nothing but profit. And they don't care because they think they're going to make a little hidey hole here or there. And they don't comprehend that when the planet gets remade, the recycling engines go on, the first thing that has to happen is the core expands, lifts all the tectonic plates. All the tectonic plates are now capable of moving, which means all of your earthquakes are happening. All of your volcanoes are erupting. volcanoes, earthquakes, yeah, you got an awful lot of SO2 being released from sea vents and volcanoes, and earthquakes are happening. Whether or not there's an SO2 release with an earthquake is a different thing. But the idea that, the volcanic eruptions and the earthquakes are synonymous. You're 700 kilometers deep now, which means you are on the deep end. You are lifting all of the tectonic plates, or not you, but your core of your planet is lifting all of the tectonic plates. And yeah, you now have to come up with a paradigm shift, or you're simply going to die, because you don't know where to run, you don't know where to go, your food supply is dwindling, your water supply is dwindling, the places that you used to think were really safe, like i.e., the elite rich went and put a bunch of seeds away up in the Arctic. And a couple of years ago, in the area where they were, this is all frozen over ice, it'll never change, and we'll be good to use these seeds in 10,000 years or so from now. And they're now realizing that all the ice is melting, the water's leaking inside their vault, and of course all those nice seeds are probably getting too much moisture and wrong temperatures and everything else to be good for very long. But your viruses and your bacteria, on the other hand, they can come out of a 10,000 year hibernation. They can come out of space even, I guess, and they can have something that you don't know anything about, you don't know how to do anything about, and then you have, like I said, you have all of these things over here. So you need to make this whole paradigm shift. And where I'm at, if we go look at the sci-fi stuff for a few minutes here, notice that there is, like, for instance, a very good example of it is the Dune series of books, okay? In the Dune, you had psychics who were the navigators of your ships, and you literally folded space from point A to point B, and they would jump you across. Long distance traveling that way. But you stop and think of the mental abilities of a person that's doing that. They're pretty grotesque looking worms in Dune. But they had to have the spice to help them get there, okay? My starship that I talk about, okay? Like I say, it was promised to me when I was 2 years old, okay? There has never been anything anywhere in front of me to say that that ship thoroughly 100% exists as far as I'm concerned. There have been a couple of people, and one person in particular actually said that that person got to be on my ship and beaming people up. And that was, he didn't know that I was actually promised it from 2 years of age, and at that time I was about 22, 23 years old, so it was 20 years of my past. There was no way he knew directly about that. He did other things that showed that yes, he did understand and see the levels of energies I could move. But he said he would beam stuff up, and I had to stop and say, wow, when I was 2 years old, boss, gods, I was told that this ship would be mine entirely. I would not be traveling with anybody because I would be so hated by humans. So they would ostracize me so much that when the planet came to an end, the most that would happen is I would have a bunch of humans in cold storage along with whales and dolphins and monkeys and ants and scorpions and snakes and mosquitoes and everything else, so that when I went out and did my little tootle around the universe a bit and came back and the planet had progressed the 50 to 100 million years necessary, I would be able to offload this genetic data back into the planet, okay? You don't have anything that corresponds to that on one side, and on the other side you do, because you have the Palladians coming to rescue you. It is all part of your paradigm shift. And like I said, with this, if you don't stop and start thinking about it, even the elite rich are not able to save themselves right now. What's happening, or how it's happening, or why it's happening, and they don't have any place to run. Yeah. That's why I say you need a paradigm shift, and you need to realize there's an awful lot of people out there saying this.